Okay, so when I do lighting counts, what I usually like to do is actually like to do these in Bluebeam for the sheer fact of Accubid. You can classify them as something different and then do it that way, so you're not doing it twice. But what I'll do is I'll actually do a full lighting count in Bluebeam, and then I'll just disable live count in Accubid and just manually add them in there. So for me, what you're going to do is when you're Bluebeam, and I'll show you why, it's just a little quicker with the markups. Bluebeam's got its tool chest right here where you can add and count items. So usually right here, if you look at general measurements, if you don't have counts, what I'll do is I'll go through and I'll check all these off. And just to keep this video short, I'm gonna pause real quick while I do the rest of the counts. Okay, so you can see right here, I've got all my counts done on this print. And below, you have all of your markups right here, right? So you can see right here, what I'll usually do is I'll actually click on here, I'll go to properties, and I will rename it lighting, and then I'll do either subject, or usually I actually just change this to L1 fixture for L1 fixture. Because you can combine these later on from all the prints and make it just one item. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to go to another print. I'm going to show you what on that. So again, we're going to pause. And then you can see right here, we have the L1 fixture. And even with this, right, let's say you have something that looks similar, you can change the shapes, the colors, and the designs, right? So if you're all looking at the same print, you can actually change these so it doesn't get confusing. If you're looking at one lighting print on there, under appearance. And again, the way you get to that is you go properties, and then it brings up this right here, this section over here, in order for you to make edits on it. And then I'll change the name, and then I'll put it on there. So let's see here, once that goes away, we're gonna go to a different print now. So in this instance, this was only on one print, so I can actually only use these markups on one print. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna combine another print with it. I'm gonna add the open files, which then adds all my files from up here. I'm gonna delete the ones I don't need. And then I'm going to hit OK. I'm gonna make sure I merge all the properties and stuff like that with it. And we're gonna go to that. So that should see how that now that transferred our markups over onto this one, that's combined too. So if we start either continuing the L1s on this page, okay, so we're actually gonna resume count now on this page with the L1s we already established. So we made L1 fixtures, and now we're just bouncing around and continuing those L1s. So, and then if we have a different fixture, right? So I'm going to do, you can see both the L1s are all right here. It has your full counts. And I'll show you what we do at the end of this real quick. Then what I'll do is I'll look for L2s, right? So we've got a different one on here. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to go to the little tool chest right here. We're going to pick count again. And then we're going to go L2, and we can even start this right now. We're just going to go properties. We're going to change this to L2 fixtures. We're going to change the color to, let's just say yellow, or make that square, okay? Now I'm going to resume count. I'm going to go down there, right click on this, resume count, and then I'm going to continue that count, okay? Now, just for expedience sake and video sake, I'm going to stop this. We're going to pretend this is all we have on this entire drawing. So down here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit summary, which is this little box with the arrow. And then I'm going to turn that into an Excel sheet. I'm going to include markups, column headers. I don't know if we need replies or full status history. Totals, let's see how that looks. That didn't work. It's the wrong one. I missed something. We shouldn't have done totals. Export. Turn off comments. Okay, so what that did is we just exported that into Excel, and the comments are actually your counts right there. You don't need any of this stuff. And there is a way to combine those as a total. Let me see if I can figure that out real quick. Okay, so beforehand, you're actually going to want to merge these counts right here. So if you go, let's see. Oh, it's not letting me for some reason. Probably because they're on two different pages. It is why, okay. Okay, so you've got your counts there. You're going to export CSV, markup and totals. Okay. So it didn't go how I thought it would. But either way, so that's how I usually do it, and then I'll just do a sum. Then I would do total and equal sum. And then you would have your totals right there for the fixtures. And then usually what I will do is I would go to this job and I would take if I was going to send this out to the lighting vendors, and I would open up their luminaire schedule. Okay, so once you get to the luminaire schedule, you can see it right here. So, and I'll usually do the same thing. So I will actually either I will just do another snipping tool of this, and I can't do it right now because we have this one open. I'll just copy this whole sheet with the snipping tool. I'll save the picture, and then I would either just insert it in here, insert a picture. I'll go and place overcells, this device. I'm just going to use a general one because I can't take a snippet right now while I'm doing the video. Let's pretend I put a picture in here. I snip it, I paste it in there, or I'll just save that picture, I'll attach it, and then I'll send the full counts over to the vendor like that. So that is how I do my lighting counts. And once I have them here, so let's say this is only 56 and I have a total of 13 L2 fixtures, and you could get a little bit more detail from this. This page label is just coming from Bluebeam, so I didn't actually label the pages, so that's why they're just showing 1 and 2, because it's page 1 and page 2 with how it was set up there. So then I would open Accubid, and let's say this was Brighton. What I would do is I would take off and I would just disable the live count, and I would type in count assemblies, and I would just do the amount of lights for each type of light. So this would be LED, this would be those L2s were that. I would just do whatever my count was for that. So I believe right here we had 56 of the L1s. I would just do 56 of those, and I would add it. You could add it on the drawing that you were working on, or you could just do it that way. And that is typically how I do lighting counts, if I am sending them out for quote. Otherwise, you can just wait for the day of, and the vendors usually have their own lighting counts as well too. So if it's a bigger job, the lighting vendors always throw something in if there's numerous people's names in the hat. If there's a smaller one and not a people and you're the only one looking at it, that's typically how I will send them out. So that is how to do lighting counts.